What's up, guys? In today's video, I'm going to show you some major changes I've made with my stock portfolio in the past week. I recently sold two stocks and bought a new one. So let's get right into this. My stock portfolio is currently valued at $64,246.34. And yesterday, Friday, was an insane day in the market. As you can see, SCHD jumped 1.43%, and I'm over $20,000 for the first time, which is amazing. And then my individual stocks, my REITs also had great performance. But let's go look at my activity feed. As you can see down here, October 13th, I received $10.60 from Texas Instruments. And then on the 15th, I received a lot of dividends. It looks like about five. So $6.96 from Procter and Gamble, $6.71 from Hormel, $18.04 from AbbVie, $5.45 from Abbott Labs. And then Realty Income, I'm finally over $25 a month on this stock at $25.10. And then on August 16th, all that money was spent. They bought SCHD, $85.32 worth, which actually ended up being a little bit more than a share, 1.04495 shares. And then on August 20th, just a few days ago, that's when I sold two stocks and I bought a new one, but the proceeds also went to a few other stocks. So let's check this out. I ended up selling Hormel Foods and Abbott Labs, and I'll go over why I sold them in a little bit. But the nice thing is I received a dividend from both of these stocks just a few days before I sold them. So thankfully I sold them at the right time. Then as you can see, we bought, we'll just go over to the majority one. I bought Waste Connections, which is a stock that I've been looking at for over a year, maybe even close to 2 years. So we put $1,700 into this stock, 9.4 shares at a average share price of $182.55. And then going back, some other stocks that got bought were Johnson & Johnson, Waste Management, which is another company similar to Waste Connections, Lowe's, and then Pepsi. Then we can actually go over to my individual stocks and look at Waste Connections, which is there we go. I made it 6% is the target on my portfolio. It's currently sitting at 5.3%. And as you can see, I bought it for $182.55, and it's currently at 186.43. So it has gone up quite a bit. Now let's look at why I decided to sell Abbott and Hormel and buy Waste Connections. So if we go over to Seeking Alpha on Abbott Labs, you can see their current year-to-date return, 2.38%. Not that high. However, they do have a decent dividend yield, 1.95%. And if we go over to the dividend chart, they did have a good 5-year dividend growth rate at 11.74%. And then a 48.54% payout ratio, which is really good, anything under 50%. But now, if we go over to their financials, you can see that although their revenues have increased, and they went down a little bit, but I can forgive a little bit of revenue decreases because the pandemic was so great for many companies. However, if we scroll down into their net income, it tells a different story. You can see that their net income spiked up and then it's slowly been declining over the years. So that's one thing that I don't like. And that was one of my issues with Abbott Labs when I actually first bought them. So I probably shouldn't have bought this stock in general just because of the fluctuations with their net income and their revenue. And I do believe that I have better healthcare stocks in AbbVie. So that's another reason why I just decided to cut Abbott Labs. Then next up, let's go into Hormel. So year to date, it's down 0.72%, which honestly isn't that bad. But when you look at the bigger picture, they're down 17% in the 1 year chart. And then in the 5-year chart, they're down 24.1%. And now if we go to the dividend scorecard, they do have a great dividend yield of 3.54%. Their payout ratio is a little bit high. It is actually quite high at almost 70%. Their 5-year growth rate, it's not bad. 6.55% is still great. And then they were a dividend king, 57 years of dividend growth. Then if we look into their financials, you can see that their revenue has come up and it's gone down a little bit, just like Abbott Labs. But once again, when we go to that net income, it just shows another story of increasing net income and then just declining recently. This is probably due to costs with food and other stuff, but all in all, I think Hormel is my last food company, and I just decided to get rid of them because I believe Waste Connections is a much better stock than both of these two companies combined. And so let's look at Waste Connections. Currently, year to date, they're up 24.89%, which is really great. On the 1 year chart, they're up 35.25%. Then 5 years up 109%. Then on the 10 year, they're up 420% and 420.89. So very close to a Wall Street Bets growth. But one of the things I want to point out with Waste Connections before we look at their dividends, I actually used to be a customer of Waste Connections at my old house. And there was 1 year they increased our rate by 37%. It was absolutely insane. And I think that's the reason that I decided to put them on my watch list because I was like, whoa, how can this company just increase our rate by that much? And honestly, I probably should have bought them right there because I would have been up probably 50, 60, 70%. So that was about a year and a half ago. But now let's look at their dividend scorecard. You can see they do have a low yield at 0.61%, which I'm never against owning a company that has a really low yield. Costco has a low yield. Microsoft now has a really low dividend yield. But if we look at that 5-year growth rate, 12%, 12.24%, that is an amazing growth rate. And their payout ratio is under 25% at 24.34%. And they've got 6 years of dividend growth, which isn't a ton, but it looks like they finally figured out what they're doing with their dividend. I've looked at their dividend growth history, and just the past 5 years have been amazing. Like I said, they increased their rates by 37%. I'm not the only person they've done that to. And similar to Waste Management, they are a waste company. It's absolutely essential. So if we ever did go into a recession, which I don't see one anytime soon, this would still be a great stock to hold because they got to keep working. And then next up with financials, you can see with the financials, their revenue has also actually had really good growth and it continues to grow. And then looking down at their net income, you can see that once again, it's been growing. Well, it's been fluctuating, honestly, but we can see that it's continuing to grow. Even with these fluctuations, we see growth in 2022 and went down in 23, but total trailing, it's up and it's higher than what it was in 2022. And Waste Connections just recently gave great future guidance for their company. So this is a pick that I'm excited to own. So let me know what you guys think.